It's 4 p.m. and we have a quorum.
Good to see you. But green sweater.
I'm gonna do the call to order. We'll rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Pima County Public Library acknowledges the sovereignty of Native nations and acknowledges the 22 federally recognized indigenous tribes of the state of Arizona and those who inhabit Pima County. We honor the vast and often unrecognized contributions and sacrifices of indigenous people and are conscious of the ongoing experience of inequality and political invisibility. In partnership with Native nations, PCPL advocates for full access to its educational, informational, and recreational resources. Call to the public. Is there anyone? Feeling a little shy.
Please know you're welcome.
Okay.
The library writing report member representing my district here in Oro Valley.
Can you introduce yourself first?
Yes, my first time. I know.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Yes, my name is Audrey Plezon. I've been majoring for 7 months. Did everyone?
Yeah.
And I also have a 3-year-old. And we go to a lot of stories. Got it. Yes, yes. And I also worked in a library for many years in college. Yes. So my library advisory board member representing my district here in Oro Valley, John Holiday. You wrote an opinion piece in the Arizona Daily Star, March 2023, which you opened with, "I'm approved. I never use 4-letter words. Even ordering chicken breasts seems somewhat immodest. I can only suspect that you'll be widely uncomfortable reading erections can happen when we touch ourselves to feel good. I'll vouch to any of your grandchildren from sex as a fun word. It really upsets me that these sorts of things are what I find with my toddler in Oro Valley. The book details masturbations, erections, gender fluidity. Like any other holes in the body, the anus is usually very sensitive, which means it can feel good to touch, but it can also hurt if we're rough with it. In your opinion piece, you cite parental concerns over a book about space exploration, Harry Potter, an occasional book that we talk about penises. As a library advisory board member, it appears that you are just unaware of our specific concerns we may have with the collection at your local branch. My librarian encouraged me to complete a reconsideration of materials form, which will be returned to the collection development office. I was able to speak directly with Ms. Denise Sterling. She told me that the form would function as an opportunity to speak to my concerns, but that in no way would be presented here to the board or be made public. And in fact, all the forms would remain internal at the collection development office. In my opinion, this is a negligence on her end to fail to present any of this complaints about the library materials to your board. It would explain maybe some of your ignorance about the scope of the collection. The development policy I did have a chance to review online. It does acknowledge that parents have concerns, but refuses to remove any materials just in the name of censorship. Having a code of ethics and standards for these materials in our libraries does not equate to censorship. In fact, my rebuttal that I tried to submit to the Arizona Daily Star was denied. It was because of the language that was used, pulled from this children's book. I like really hurt by this week's election. And in light with all the challenges faced by this library system, I had a chance to review a lot of the previous minutes, low engagement levels, facing multiple potential closures. I'm just really asking you guys to recommit to transparency to the taxpayers and mothers. That if we do bring something to you, that it is presented here, and then also included in the minutes. That's all I'm asking. And like I said, it's coming from a place of what happened this week. And I think this is something I'm passionate about, that I want the library to function the way it did for me as a chance for early childhood development and independence. You know, I was raised by a single mom, and that's extremely chaotic. My own experience at the library was where she dropped me off, and it was quiet and it was calm, and that was my early independence, and I want that for my own children. And I'm just asking you guys to give me some recourse to just reassign materials.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a clarification question?
Yes, we can.
Is this book in the children's section of the library?
It is. And I can't remember the branch manager's name. She's been very patient with me. I spoke to her many times. Jessica, I'm not sure. But she said yes, Caitlin, been very patient with me. She said that it could be considered for reassignment, but it certainly couldn't be removed. And it's been like over a year now. And I've kind of expressed my frustrations with the reassignment form, the fact that it would just kind of die internally. I'm just calling for more transparency and more options for me as a mother. Thank you. Thank you. Yes,
Can you repeat your name, please?
my name is Audrey
Last name?
Plaisance, Elaisance. And Mr. Holliday, thank you. In no way was directed hostility to you. That piece really spoke to me, kind of the disconnect that you're at with the system at hand.
Well,
Thank you.
I'm glad to hear that you read it, and it wasn't in my role as a library's board member. And that wasn't said, you must have come up with that information on their own, but the only response I've had since you came in today was somebody who said that she really didn't like the art book because she thinks on a censor, and I want to censor books, which wasn't certainly wasn't my intention at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is not actually an agenda item, so we can't engage in full discussion about this, but if things would bring it towards, yeah, sure. Any other calls to the public? Okay, great. And we'll move to introductions.
Approval of the minutes.
Approval of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review the October 3rd minutes?
I'll move to approve this presented.
Thank you, John.
I'll second that.
Perfect. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? And then is Maria online? Is no. Okay, great. And then no abstentions. Everybody voted. Great. Excellent work, Amber, not letting me skip an agenda item. That was a quiz I snuck in for you. Introductions. Anna, you're the new person, but you also have a long history with the library system. Do you need introductions from anyone?
No, I don't think.
I think we can move on then.
Usual suspects.
Summary of current events by library board members.
I would say this, I did use, I've been using Canopy. Like all year, yeah. And because my son's been having to spend a lot of time at home lately, and I noticed the new ticket system, and I do like it. But as a user, I have enjoyed that, and it's interesting to see the values put on different materials within that. So it was a nice change. So.
Great, thanks, Rebecca. Anybody else? Okay. Friends Group and Library Foundation reports.
Can I just share about the Green Valley Friends Group? Some of you may not know that they have voted to dissolve because they were not able to get anyone to serve on their board. And so they'll be giving some money to the library. They'll be giving the selling of book operations will go to the Pima Library Friends. So the bookstore will continue in both the library and also the one that they have in a shopping center until that lease runs out, and then they will just maintain the one in the library. So funds will still keep coming from that area. all of the current members will be afforded a year's membership within the Bureau of Friends membership, and then they can, of course, continue in that if they'd like. And the scholarship will be taken over by the Pima Library Foundation. So it's sad that they're needing to do this, but in at least their efforts in the community will continue.
Thank you. And then we have a report from online.
Hi, yeah, this is Karen Williams. I have a quick report from the Pima Library Foundation. We have just finished writing an investment policy statement, and we're going to use that to guide the investing of our endowment funds, because we want to maximize the amount of money that we can raise for the library. And this year we are focused on 2 key initiatives, at least at this point in the year. We'll see. One is scholarships for more students to attend career online high school, and the other one is mobile hotspots. And that's it for us.
Nice. Any questions for Karen?
I have a question. I can't remember if it was the Friends group, or somebody was talking about they were going to fund more scholarships at the U of A for students going into library career. Was that your organization?
I think that that was part of a conversation. I'm trying to remember where that even happened, but there's nothing that's been actually determined there.
Okay, thanks.
I'm sorry, let me back up a minute. If you're talking about perhaps what Amber just said, that we're going to inherit the program from the Green Valley Library?
No, it was about how do we get U of A library students to be attracted to our library system rather than going on to other jobs. And I thought somebody had talked about they were going to be funding scholarships, but it might have just been an idea, not a real.
Yeah, so far an idea.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Any other questions for Karen? All right, thank you, Karen. Any other Friends group reports?
Can I report on the Friends Labor book sale this weekend?
Great. Anything else? All right, moving to unfinished business. We have futures planning update because we are keeping it on the agenda until we have, just to keep it fresh. Amber, do you have anything?
We have not completely finalized the survey yet, so that's why you haven't seen that come out. We're still working on that. And then there will be, I'm sure, much discussion at the special meeting next week. So that's all I have to report today.
Okay, great. And the agenda for that meeting will come out sometime soon.
I think, Laura, are you sending out the agenda tomorrow?
Yes. Okay, great. It will be broader than the specific questions that were raised, but the broadness is meant to incorporate the questions that you brought, right? Keeping in mind what County Administrator Lesher can actually respond to.
And that's that meeting here, or is it a chance?
Oh, that's a very good question. Where is it here?
It is here. Okay, thanks.
Great.
Will the survey be finalized by the time of that meeting? Will it go out before, or thank you? Do you have a time?
I mean,
What's the timeline for the survey?
next meeting's next Friday, so I wouldn't say, you guys it wouldn't be out by then. That's, but you guys can maybe see.
Will it be you folks or the consultant or the timing of it? Because I hope we don't release it like I worry that in the holiday, break, I feel like things between Thanksgiving and New Year's kind of go out the window unless they're posted on Amazon or something. Will you guys be thinking about that as far as when you release it?
Of course, we'll go think about it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Martin, I had a question about the futures plan. Just go ahead and ask the president. On page 3 of the plan, when it's talking about staffing, it talks about the full-time equivalents, 313 in 2020, 301 in 2024. But then last meeting, Jessica's report showed that we had 486 full-time equivalents. So I'm just wondering, what's the difference between what's the difference? So I must be, anyway, what's the difference? The 338 FTEs, 2024 on page 3 of the plan. Doesn't,
I think that it's reported incorrectly in one of those because FTE is always less, so the 486 is probably full staff, not FTE. It's
yes,
headcount.
it says budgeted FTEs, 2024, 338, but then the Jessica's report, 486.
Yeah, the 486 would be headcount, not FTE.
Oh,
What is,
and then okay, so I have another question about that thing, because in the federal report that I used when I was figuring things, it was 499 FTEs. But you're saying that's head count, not FTEs, so it's inaccurate in the federal report.
Could be, I would have to double check it, but yeah, we've never had. Well, we did in 2019 have 400 FTE, but we have not had that for a long time.
so, can you explain, what's the difference between head count and FTE?
So headcount is total people, FTE, so like a half-time person is a half an FTE, full-time equivalent. So, and with our pages, that could have been 10 in one full-time equivalent position. Okay. So that's why the headcount number is much higher.
What are people in are there people like say in IT or HR or maintenance that the library uses those services, but they're not part of your staff? Would they be counted in there or not?
Not the county IT, no. We do have some of our own IT staff, yes.
But I mean, when you're looking at the head count, you don't count people that are in the other departments that may.
Yeah, we only count people who are in the library budget.
Okay, thank you.
So just for the record, the federal report then is inaccurate.
I will have to check the number and when it was given.
Thank you.
Anything else about the futures planning update draft? Okay. New business, limited edition library cards?
Is that, we're ready for that? Okay.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to do a presentation and share it for people here. So I think I have to do this part first. And then from here, I can share window. Okay. So I think, I'm hoping people can see this. And then I can put it in presentation mode.
May I ask a question while you're setting that up?
Sure.
Can we keep our library cards if we don't want one of the new ones?
Yeah, no one's out there. Yeah, this is just for new people coming in and anyone who wants to update.
If I
You are
were
not,
Halloween, I don't.
you are not obligated to update this at all. So, yeah. Oh, Lincoln, okay, good, good. Okay, so limited edition library cards is the theme we came up with was the Seasons of Pima County. And it's coming this winter. So it took us a lot longer than we thought it was because we had a great turnout. So we had over 400 submissions. We had a 12-person team member, Amy Morris, Ariana, Brianna, Daniela, Eva, John, Katie, Kelly, Martha, Nico, Victoria, and me. I met with that. I just put it and said, hey, who wants to help with this particular library card team? And some people are like, I do. Some of them have some art background, some of them don't. But we came together and we went through a process to figure out how we were going to do this whole project because we've never done something like this before. So they were the team. We met, I would say, like every other week to figure out what the scope of the project would be, how we would manage all of this. And so they were really vital for sort of building the structure for how this would all work. So we went through that. We threw out a bunch of ideas of like what theme we could use, and we ended up with Seasons of Pima County. Took us some time to get it down. Seasons of Pima County, and we launched that a couple months ago. And like I said, we got 400 cards. We actually blew out our submittable account. People were not able to submit because we had so many submissions. So people were emailing me directly with some of their submissions as well. So it was very exciting. Their turnout was really great. So then we had 400 cards, and it was 400 cards, and then people's also they gave a short little description, And it turned out that we needed to like look at all 400 cards and make some decisions about that. So of the 12, 6 people put in a lot of time and energy to look at every single piece and to rank them based on the different types of media. So we looked at what's your top photography, what's your top mixed media, what's your top, and so they went through and created a ranking system, a personal ranking system for all sorts of different media. And that got us down to 128 finally. I thought there'd be slightly more consensus, but there's a lot of, no surprise, right? Like art is subjective. Some people really resonated with some had other reasons had reasons they resonated with others. So what we did after this stage was we moved all the art into a platform where we were just looking at it as art. We weren't looking at names at that point. We're just sort of like, let's just look directly at the pieces of art. And the members of that team then voted for their 6 choices on 128, which got it down to 30 cards. So from 30 cards, I then had to take it back to my team, and then I had to do a lot of work myself to figure out like, how are we going to get this down to these cards? Because there's a lot of really amazing options. And just today, we managed to get it down to 6 cards. We're going to print 30,000, which is a smaller run. We generally do 78,000 cards a year. This will be a small run. We will do it once. People can swap out their library card if they want to. No one has to do that. But we'll distribute them throughout the library system, and hoping that we can, and we'll put a lot of promo out there once they've actually arrived. We still have to get them printed, but they'll be out in the world. We'll hopefully get people coming in, getting their library card for the first time, some people swapping theirs out, and just have some good feel and energy around library cards. So I'm going to show you, this is the first time they've been publicly shared. We will put out an announcement about this next week. So it'll go live on the website, and we'll start doing some preliminary promos about it. Until we actually have the cards, we don't want to get too excited because we don't want people showing up and saying, I love my card, because they're not printed yet. But so with drum roll, please. This is the one of the, there we go. So here's one of the first ones. It's the Strolling Saguaro and the Looming Sing, which is a piece of digital art from Chelsea Lindholm. Pretty darn cute, right? Yeah, and again, what's really great about this artist is she actually did an Instagram reel about creating it. So she also helped promote the project because she did a good job of saying, hey guys, this is the cool thing to do. Here's another one. Tucson or Bust. Debbie Gallerini. This is mixed media. It's paper and acrylics. So she's put that together, right? This was one that did actually get almost universal. Everyone was like, yes, this one, let's do Tucson or Bust, right? Yeah. San Javier Mission After the Monsoon by Ed Flores, right? He went and visited the mission, and there was this huge rainstorm and the clouds cleared, and he was able to get that really beautiful picture, and it's got that high saturation you can tell after a rain. Jack Rabbit Spring Colors, Jane Maston. So that's machine embroidery. Yeah, isn't that, can you see?
Kind of.
Yeah, I saw it right away. And she designed it herself, and again, did it for the competition. So I want to say we had a lot of ceramicists. We had people doing like glass, like people did a lot of really beautiful mixed media for this. And I don't always know if they did it explicitly for the competition, but I think some people genuinely, truly like created something beautiful out of non-traditional materials for this work. So this was our sort of non-traditional materials, was machine embroidery. Neighborhood Stories by Sierra Loman. Yeah. That one's also fairly charming. That one kind of emerged kind of early as well as a big contender. When we were looking at what we wanted to sort of get a mix of things we thought would appeal to a lot of different people. And we were thinking about, of course, that we would also have and we felt this one might appeal to some of our younger readers. And then the last one is Summer Monsoon by Tracy Ann Holmes. This is watercolor. So she did the watercolor and then took a photo of it, and this is going to be the 6th card. So those are the 6 limited edition library cards that you guys will get to see later this year. Yep. Yeah, it was really great. We're really proud. And we will do another competition probably in 2026. We don't need them every year, but it's a lot of work. It's what?
You don't want to start again?
I know. It's been a lot of work, but it's been worth it. So, all right, any questions? Yeah.
Well, one thing, it is a lot of staff time.
Yes.
Time for your staff, that's beautiful results. Are you going to offer the artists an opportunity to display their original piece, like maybe at the Tucson Museum of Art or someplace? Because I feel when you talk about the different mixed media, it's wonderful for them to get to display those.
I would say we don't have any of that logistically figured out. That's a little bit tricky. Again,
Kahona Chul does very small protected exhibits. I'm sure Jamie would do it for you.
Sure. I can't say definitively yes to that, partly because of the labor that entails to like coordinate that and get that. But that does bring up a good thing I forgot to mention, which is that because we had 126 finalists, our original thought was we would have, I mean, again, we're naively, but we were like, okay, we'll have 10 finalists, we'll choose 6, and so we'll do limited edition library. We'll do limited edition bookmarks with the everyone who's left. But we're not, but since we had 126 finalists, we're not going to do limited edition bookmarks because that's a lot of labor. It's a lot of printing. What we're considering doing, what we are considering doing is putting them all together in a poster. This is our so that you'll get to see all 126 finalists in a poster. That's a limited edition print. It will, we'll just give them out at branches. And so we had talked briefly about maybe doing a little kickoff event. So there's a couple things we're kicking around, but again, we've gotten here, we have to get them actually done, and then we'll be able to launch. So
Where would the funds to print that come from?
So the printing
For
for,
posters.
oh, that just comes out of the print budget that I have.
Okay.
My department has, is the print budget.
I
Yeah.
just did some printing for the therapy alliance, and printing has gotten very expensive.
Yeah, we work with the Pima County Print Shop.
Oh, good.
So we have an existing, that's how we do all of our printing. Yeah, so it would be big, beautiful posters that people could choose to take if they want to. And it would be like, you'll see that it's why it took us so long, because it's just so much amazing art. So
Just another thought.
But I think Rebecca had her hand up as well.
I just want to say, I think that's such a way to involve the community in expressing their love for the libraries and expressing their love for our community as a whole. It's exciting to see that people went to so much effort to express that. And I appreciate the effort that y'all put in to allow that to happen and to go through all of those. So I think that's lovely, and it's a wonderful way to express, like I said, the love that our community has for libraries and our unique community.
exactly, yeah. It ended up being really amazing for us as well for that exact reason. Yeah, just to see the beauty that people would create for us in partnership. So yeah, that was good. Did you have a follow-up question?
Well, I was just gonna say, maybe the Friends group would, if you decide, if the artists do want to display their stuff, even just like for a month or something, like during Love of Reading Week or in February, that maybe they would work with Kahona Chul and Museum of Art to arrange the exhibit, so it doesn't take staff time.
Oh, sure, yeah. There's some possibilities there that are pretty exciting.
Because it's beautiful.
It really,
It would be wonderful then.
to see some of it.
I mean, not all 400 pieces, but.
Right.
Well, why wouldn't we exhibit about the library? That we already have access to.
Well, I don't know if they have the kind of display space that they need.
We do. We have lots of different for wall, and then downstairs we have space for actual movie items space. So
Everyone submitted their art digitally. So again, the logistics of having people bring their pieces and having just like, not to, because you're right, like, and then I'm like, let's show all 400. I mean, I really did feel like that at some point, but sometimes just logistically, it's a little harder to pull out. Yeah.
I also think this is very nice. I'm wondering, like, going into like coming up with the idea of the contest, like what the goals were in terms of like, was it to increase community engagement or get new users excited about getting library cards, and just like, it's a success because of all the entries you got, because now there's going to be these nice library cards. But were there other goals?
Yeah. What we are hoping is that we will get, what we're intending to sort of promote it as people would never, that this would be a reason to come in and get a library card. So we didn't set specific metrics with that, again, because we weren't exactly sure how it would play out, but our intent is to broadcast that as now is the time to come get a very special library card if you've never been in the building before. So we're gonna have to look at the timing of like when we push that out or roll it out. So New York Public Library did the Jay-Z limited edition cards. Did you guys hear about that? So they did these limited edition because it was it was some sort of, this year was the wrap, like it was.
Anniversary of the first.
Yeah, exactly. And so they did this special edition, limited edition library cards with Jay-Z. And they did this thing where they actually made, I think, like 4 or 5, maybe less, 3. And they didn't give every branch a card. So like you had to go to each branch. You like, depending what card you wanted, you had to go to branch hoping they had that card. And if they didn't, you had to go to a different branch. So they were trying to get people to try different library. And we jokingly thought about doing that, but then realized that that's a lot of pain for staff to, like, you know what I mean? So we logistically aren't, again, gonna pull that off, but it is a really cool way. I mean, we don't have Jay-Z, but we do feel like this is a way that people can sort of hear about us and understand that we're a good place to come and get a card.
Another thought, since this is really geared to new card holders, does the library, or maybe it's the county, ever do paid sponsorships? Because I could see Saga wanting to sponsor something like this, because they're selling, thousands of homes, and people moving in to new homes that want them to be a library card. But
Sponsoring the contents?
well, no, sponsoring the, like, the advertisement in the, the printing and maybe the poster, to just get it out to a wide variety of people.
Sure. We do have an advertising budget. So we don't need to seek out partnerships, and sometimes the partnerships create financial challenge. It's not
I was
as
just
simple as
thinking
that.
how to get new homeowners, because in Marana and Oro Valley and Sarnia, we have thousands, to make sure they know about the new library.
Yeah, and we do have platforms we can do paid advertising through, but we generally do them by ourselves versus through partnerships. Just because it completes those things sometimes. We're not sponsored by those. You know what I mean? So yeah. So we will be looking at the whole campaign and how this rolls out. So it's a new thing. We're gonna try it. We think it'll be relatively successful, and maybe not, in which case we'll have to adjust something. But it was really fun for staff to work on. And we, even the people who I communicated with saying that their cards weren't chosen were just so happy and gracious about having participated. So
I think when we first started talking about it, we were thinking for National Library Card Sign Up Pledge month, which is in September. But as the team got together and realized the process of how this was going to go, it took longer than we expected. But we didn't want to just do artificially a thing. And so I really appreciate that this will be a great way to target new library users.
I just love it. I love, the pieces that were chosen. How many cards did you say you're gonna?
we're gonna do 30,000, and 6. So not 6, 30,000 total of 30. What am I trying to say? A total of 30,000. Still goes pretty quickly, right? Because that's a little bit of the incentive is like, get it, so yeah.
Although someone wanted to switch up their, like my oldest son said, Mom, can you please ask why they're giving those little tiny cards now?
Oh,
You say he keeps losing his.
we do, these will have shopping tags. Those are called shopping tags. Apparently.
Yeah.
These cards will also have those, but you will still have the print. The
So
big
you
card.
could
He
choose the
should
big one.
have gotten a big
He
envelope.
said that he lost his original one. When he went back for a replacement, you can only get the.
Oh, no.
And he lost it already.
They usually have the full card and then a little tag thing about.
Okay,
And you
so
can
he
take it
needs to
off.
ask, just needs to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
That's
And
what
then
I still
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so so again, when these are going to print, I have to do all the design work and I have to put them into the actual format. I have to design the tags, the tariff tags and all that sort of stuff, getting all the artist statements, they have to proof it still. So we're kind of a little bit of the ways for me to get sending this stuff to print, but they will have little tags as well.
Also, are you thinking that you're gonna launch it during the book festival or during Love Reading Week? I mean, are you gonna try and tie the launch to something else or just do it independently?
I think we're going to just do it independently at this point. I mean, originally that was the intent, as Amber was saying, but just given that we don't want to sit on them either, so we print them and then sit on them, so we will have to consider when it makes sense. Could be a holiday thing too, you know what I mean? Yeah.
New year, new card.
New card. Yeah. Because people can can take their card in right now.
Yeah.
And get a new card, so,
We have physically have it, but yes.
yes.
Don't forget.
Yeah.
You don't have to
If
do
you
that
lost
all
it,
the time. Oh, data moves over and keep.
Oh, yeah, and so when you get a new card, they port your data.
Yeah.
So you don't lose any of that, there's continuity there, so. Maybe it's time for an upgrade, guys, your cards. All right, thank you, I'm gonna get us out of here, maybe.
Thanks, Renee.
So we'll keep you posted on, when they're ready to launch.
Yeah, finally a perk of being on lab, right? Sneak preview of the Okay, library reports.
I'm here to tell you about our library card. So I thought it would be a fun time to highlight some blog posts that we have. I work with every blog post that's up on the website. I've worked with the person writing them for editing and just building the blog, adding the images. So I'm heavily involved with the our blog. 4 that I wanted to highlight that are there now. Matthew Landon in our community engagement office interviewed Michelle Simon and wrote about digital equity in the Office of Digital Inclusion. There were 3 staff members who co-authored a post called Get Outside, You Won't Regret It, and it's all about things to do now that it is not 182 degrees outside. So it highlights the Huckleberry Loop, public art, and even community science projects. So that was a really well-written blog post. October was National Bullying Prevention Month, and we had one of the co-founders of the Synapse team wrote a blog post. In it, she shared a personal narrative about something she had experienced. She also shared book recommendations and highlighted, we try to do this with every Synapse post, highlight places to go if you need help, where to text, where to call, where to visit. So that was a really important one. And then this month is National Adoption Month. And we had 2 staff members write about their experiences as adoptees, and they had wildly different experiences. And so it's neat to see them, side by side. And then also that post includes 2 book lists, one for adults and one for kids. And so you can always, stop me if you don't hear this, but to find the blog, if you go on the homepage, on the left-hand side, the widget, if you click on read more, you'll get everything, but then you can look for the blog posts. There's other ways to access it too via the explore page. So there's if you ever want guidance finding these blogs that I'm talking about, just shoot me an email and I'll send screenshots and make it super easy.
Great.
That's it.
Any questions for Holly? All right, Marisa.
I don't have any report other than, I think this week's like the official week that I'm starting to really work on the community engagement. So we're in transition right now. And so just trying to get a handle on that. But the team that I'm working with, they're really fully embedded in the Tucson Festival of Books planning right now. So we're working on panels, inviting authors, kind of just the nuts and bolts of working on getting that the presentation and that Kent area next March. So it's a constant, like you finish one year and you just start up again. So they're doing really great work, and that's kind of what we're really focusing on right now. And just a lot of the other members of the team have just been doing outreach as they've been able to do community events throughout the community. So yeah.
Questions for Marisa? Do you guys have like an overall strategy or plan for community engagement for like a year out or like?
Yeah, we're working on it. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the work that's gonna have to be done. We have very limited staff right now, and so part of that is working on what our, dream org chart is gonna be as far as what kind of staff we'll need, what it's gonna look like as far as, how we want to expand. Those are all things where, this is just kind of the beginning, I feel, of trying to build out that department.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And
Okay. Now I was just curious, following up on outliers. So is there a place on the library website, I've never looked, where an organization or school that they can request, so they can go in and request things?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can
So that
request the
drives credit
outreach.
and resources. Okay.
They can request outreach, or if they want us to attend a community event or that sort of thing, yeah.
Congratulations, but I think you're a great fit for that. And I'm just wondering who's doing public service.
That's next.
Okay.
I'll just jump in and say, our newest deputy director is Anne Denise Lane, and Anne will be taking over public services role. So we had a nice transition date. Last Friday was not a deputy director. That's not day was, so welcome.
Thank you. I'm very, very honored to be selected, and I'm very excited to continue this work.
Great, congratulations.
Thank you.
Marisa, I just had, so like, is your department, is it gonna, the survey about the futures planning, will that be run by your department? Like, no,
I think
that'll be
I think
separate.
all of admin was working on it and staff, so, I mean. I think there'll be other opportunities for surveys coming out of my department in the future, but yeah, I think this one, we've just kind of all been hands on deck, all of us have been working on it, so.
Great.
So if somebody has trouble with the survey, say that they have, I assume some places will be a link that they would go to. What, will it just be the regular call-in line, when if somebody calls and says they have a problem? Or will a certain department or a certain staff be responsible for troubleshooting those bottlenecks?
I don't think you.
We'll
figure that out. We'll just fix it.
Okay. It's just curious, because links are all.
Yeah, working together, hopefully, walk into the things.
I just wanted to say too, I went through your report and I never fails to amaze me the variety of opportunities for engagement that different branches.
Oh,
And they're so different from one branch to the other, and to really see that it's meeting the needs of that particular community.
Very specific.
And just things I read, I thought, oh, I never thought of doing that. But they're just really cool activities and things to bring people into the library. I think this report in particular, you could really see the diversity of engagement opportunities. So, good job.
And I guess I have a request as you guys get developed, that more can be done to share best practices between branches. I mean, I look at like the kind of resources that are offered at TAF for families. And this is just a few of the flyers that they have. And a few of the libraries I've been in, I think only 3 have had any kind of comprehensive information for families. Many have none. So it would be great if there'd be at least like a minimum standard in all the branches that have, because not all families have computers or internet at home. So the old print calendar really helps families.
We have standard flyers out for all libraries. They do their own, but they have templates that they can use.
Okay, but there's nothing that requires them to have a calendar.
We let the managers do what's best for their community.
Okay.
Any other questions for Marisa?
I'm sure I'll have more to share. Yeah. Into the work.
Great. All right, then, Em, are you giving a report on public services 4 days in?
I don't believe I'm actually on the agenda as listed, so I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
so is anybody gonna give a report about public services, customer experience?
Well, the report is there. Did you have anything you wanted to highlight?
Nothing that I wanted to add. I had to share, yeah. The report.
Is it out? Yeah. I think we're talking about the deputy library director, the report that you submitted. I had a couple questions on, in programming, the adult literacy program attendance went down like 77%. From last September to September 21st. That seems like an awful lot, but I'm wondering, is there?
It could be tied to, I don't know exactly, and I can look that up, see what that is, but it could also be that a lot of that attendance is tied to our EL out, like our English language classes or, you know, there, so it might be that we just didn't have as many of those classes available. There's gaps in that, and that might have driven down the attendance.
And
I
maybe,
think specifically that's the Literacy Connects programming.
Oh,
And there was a break. There was a, like, they don't run that constantly, they take breaks.
They just
oh,
sessions.
okay,
That literally, yeah.
okay. But the number for the early childhood was so high. It was like 5,326 for the program attendance. So that was super high. There was another one I wanted to ask about. Double check, but like in the El Pueblo, you know, I was looking at those particular branches that we had been looking at. And there were 15 programs, but only one attendance. Does that mean that it's that there were 15 opportunities for attendance to something, but only one person came to any of them? Is that what that means?
I'm sorry, which one are you?
Frank de la Rosa, El Pueblo, maybe I said El Pueblo.
Buffalo.
So it's like 15 programs, but only one attended. So
Oh, yeah.
does that mean that was only one person that came?
Maybe it's reversed. Yeah, one program was 15. We'll have to check on that. That doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't. So I
We
just
do
wanted
use,
to.
we use the software too, and sometimes some things can go wonky in there, like,
Yeah,
they
sure.
sometimes do put numbers in, they
Yeah.
may not have recorded it too, so we can check in on that.
Yeah,
They've had staff turnover in September, so this is that if they did a program, it would be just one program.
I was
So
gonna say it would
switched
be
over.
unusual for them to have 15 programs. on
Yeah,
there.
no,
They might
one
have two
person
days.
attending.
It could have been the staff put it in.
so if we just check.
Yeah.
To see.
We'll check. Thanks for
Yeah.
seeing that.
You're welcome.
I have a question then as far as, and I don't know when in the library, whether it's fiscal year during budget prep or whatever, do you compare to say, gosh, we really lost attendance in this program area, and then do a deeper dive as to why? Or do you just let it go because?
Yeah, we're always looking at stats to see different categories, how we've been doing, what's been changing, trends, that sort of thing.
How we decide to start or stop things. Absolutely.
Other questions about public services, customer experience? Okay, all right. Okay, Jessica.
So the Martha Cooper reopening celebration is this month on Saturday, November 16th, and it'll run from 10:30 to noon. There'll be live music and cake and fun stuff for the kids. So hopefully you guys can come out and join us for that. The Bear Canyon Library, in the document talks about the pending temporary closure. We now have dates for when that closure will occur. The branch will be closed from December 2nd to January 7th, and we're still working on external communication about that, but just to give you guys a heads up, there's a foundation issue. The crack starts on one side of the library, kind of ends at some point, and then starts back up at the other side of the library. So they're going to have to tear up the floor to see what the problem is, and it's going to take a long time to do that investigative work. So it's going to be about a month.
Which branch was that?
Bear Canyon.
Is the owner of the complex involved in that?
No, we own the building. So what we pay to the complex is common area maintenance.
Doing it over the Christmas holiday.
I added a new section of the report for human resources. When I did the content for the report, it was on October 18th. So the vacancy summary and the second table has a lot of updates to it. The admin service manager has started this week. The facilities admin specialist also started this week. Deputy Director of Public Services started this week. We have a failed search for the HR admin specialist, and the reason for that is the candidate would not accept the offer due to the rate of pay. So we would be reposting that with a more realistic rate of pay, because we had been posting from the minimum to the mid of what the county range is. But what we're finding is when we send the application materials to class and compensation, that they are not going past the first quartile. So for those more entry-level positions, we are going to post the requisition from the min to the first quartile moving forward. So we don't have these highly qualified candidates that we're interviewing that ultimately won't accept this lower rate of pay. So we will have to repost that, and we're hoping that that goes out tomorrow. Librarian 1 interviews were this week. The LA positions, we are still in applicant review. We had over 250 applicants for those positions. Librarian 2, those interviews are pending to be scheduled. And the same with the LT supervisor. We have interviews for our department personnel coordinator scheduled for next week. And the LSM postings will go up tomorrow. And we have this is one vacancy here, but I'm just taking the deputy director position. We have 2 LSM vacancies, and both of those will be posted tomorrow. I also have some personal news. I will be resigning from my position as deputy director of finance and facilities, and my last day will be November 22nd.
Oh, wow.
And wish you well. She won the lottery, but doesn't win.
Well, thank you for your work, Jessica.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And good luck in the future.
Thank you.
Any questions for Jessica?
Do you feel comfortable telling us where you're going?
I'm going to go back to the University of Arizona, where I will be director of finance in the financial strategies office, and I've also been given the opportunity to teach project management for public administration.
Wonderful.
Good for you.
Aren't they
So
in
you
like a
can plug
budget
the library.
They need that.
Good luck to you, Jessica.
Thank you.
I have so appreciated your honesty and how organized you are with all of your ideas and the way you present it. Yes, makes it easy to understand. So I appreciate the work you've shown us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Agreed. And adding the HR report to the monthly report is really great. Okay, so then you're gonna post that position as well.
Actually, we are able to do a direct appointment because we had interviewed recently, so we will be able to get that filled. We'll hopefully be able to announce that next week.
And then for the LSM positions, or like just like the higher level positions, are they posted internally first or no, it's posted all over? Okay. But current employees can apply.
Yeah.
And do you guys participate in that? Thing that employers do, like where veterans get some preferential.
Yeah.
Interviews, okay. Yeah, like is there any other population besides veterans that we have that for?
I believe Indigenous
Yeah.
community, that you're part of an Indigenous community as well.
Before we get off this one, in the last month or so, have there been corresponding retirements or resignations that kind of eat into the progress, or like, are we getting towards full staff?
We had 1 librarian 1, so we'll be the interviews that we did this week, instead of filling 9 spots, we're gonna be filling 10.
Good.
Can't think of any other ones. Actually,
Will we be getting a children's librarian here? Is that one of the positions that's being hired?
so of the 10 librarian ones,
We do have a children's library.
Oh, when I asked, they said they didn't have one.
We have a children's department, until we have one children's librarian in the department, whereas we used to have a librarian 2 that oversaw the children's department. We don't have that.
But there is a children's library.
There is a librarian 1 that has children's services.
And because it came up at the Denver Springs meeting, wondering if there were going to be more children's programs added. And they said that we didn't have a children's librarian, so I apologize that I lied about that. So I do know.
Will that librarian to be hired? Filled?
We do not currently have a PCN for that position. So we are still talking, we are still looking at job interest surveys and we're gonna order. And there's transfer requests out, so you will be able to have a staff person transfer.
Was that somebody who moved to another branch?
Yes.
Oh. So Maine had a net loss of PCNs.
Yes.
What we've been doing now is filling positions that we need, and so if there are vacant PCNs that we can repurpose to that, we will. Right now, we're gonna focus on the 2 librarian 2s that are there, but it's possible if we don't fill something else that we would convert that to a 2. Because we can't ask for another 2 and another PCN until we have all of our current vacancies.
Right, I remember the discussion about you can't ask for PCNs unless you're 100%.
Right.
But the aides also said that other departments ask for exceptions and get them. And it seems like maybe we should be doing anticipatory hiring if the losses continue, to try to get ahead.
We can't hire unless we have a vacant PCN.
Right, but
So
they
it's
said,
anticipatory.
but they said other departments get exceptions to that when they are.
Yeah,
They don't want to start.
when we're closer to our or to having all of them filled, we can definitely ask for more. But we can't do that until we have a space for that.
How close are we?
Well, let's count it here. What is this?
I think that once we get through the librarian ones and the LAs, which are these 2 big bulk postings where we have 10 vacancies in librarian 1 and 7 in the LA, we'll just have 1Z, 2Z vacancies throughout the system. And that will be a better position for us to advocate for more PCN. And then one of the things that we're doing now that we've changed our procedures on is that once we've received a resignation notice from an employee, that we are getting the requisition materials up and posted so that we can do interviews, and then potentially at the time that someone has vacated PCN, the new person can start the very next day once that PCN has been vacated. So we're moving a lot more quickly in our hiring practices by establishing new policies. So these vacancies where we have 9 to 7, where we have 10 and 7 won't happen anymore, because as people resign, we will be filling those roles.
That's great, that's great. So would you say it's like 80% of fully, fulfilling all the PCNs, or like how close to?
Well, if you count all these up, there's 23.
But what's the ideal FTE count that's in the budget for 24-25?
I don't know.
I feel like it was, just over 400 in the budget.
Well, the last time you had 400 was 2019.
No, I'm saying what was in the budget.
Right, but I mean, even to get back to that.
Now, 2019 number.
Yeah. With a couple of branches added to.
40. Yeah. There was the number I always have in my head, but I would rather see it on the different points.
I have that's at 340 something in my head as well, but wow.
That's really low, isn't it?
Yeah, should be 400.
That's what we were saying, was the county, because of that standing laws.
Yeah.
But still,
this is like a lot of aggressive hiring and still kind of losing.
Well, we went from 80 vacancies to 40, we're down to 23.
Yeah,
we're making progress.
yeah, absolutely. Where in the process will the advocacy happen to have the county manager and the board of supervisors bring the FTE count for the library services back up to, like, say, the 2019 number?
We are in process of doing our budget for the next fiscal year, and we haven't been given specific direction yet. Usually they'll tell us to keep it at the same budget as it was last year. But then we are able to put in supplementals. So part of ours is determining all of the positions that we'd like to add. So those would be part of our supplemental to go before the board for the next fiscal year. So hopefully we'll have that we have to have all our stuff in January or February, depending on when they do the cutoff this year.
And where would we, both as citizens and as advisory board members, want to advocate? So I would like to advocate that positions in the library branches be filled before, like administrative positions or filling out, no offense, because I need a lot more staff, but to be able, since we have the new library branches, some that have been reopened after renovation, the Kimmel's the only one that's gonna be out of circulation next year, right? But to somehow prioritize the branch library system to get it back to a robust so that we can have programming, you know, 1 or 2 evenings a week or something. I mean, hopefully the survey data will help you guys in driving that message forward.
We already added evenings to many branches. But yes,
Do you
we know,
going to 6 o'clock as an evening?
yes, 6 and 7.
So see, yeah, for
So
people,
that's the math steps.
yeah, it's a lot of places, people don't get home from work until 5 or 6.
We have several till 7. We found even in the past when we had branches open until 8 or 9, you can roll a bowling ball through any space in the library. People just don't come in after 7. So maybe 1 or 2, but
Yeah.
How can we get an accurate count on this FTE thing? Because
I was just going to say that I will send something out to you for before the meeting on Friday that has historically from 2019 till now, what the budgeted FTE was, what the actual FTE was, and what else? And the head count.
yeah, that's great. That'll be great. Thanks.
And I put on my notes to add headcount and FTE active and vacant as part of the human resources summary for your guys' next report.
And so your report last month said 486 FTEs, but that was actually head.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, I can't. It
Has to be.
has to be. No, it's not that.
And I have another question.
So Rebecca had her hand up, actually.
I was looking at the security report on the second page. And I'm again looking at El Pueblo again, it's 0 all the way across, so is that, are we saying there is nothing?
There are no reported incidents that happens at El Pueblo.
I mean, it's only open the 2 days a
Yeah.
week, right? But
Yeah.
in those 2 days, nothing came up that month, and just, that's what that's telling you, is that?
I think one of the things too to remember for when branches are reporting incidents, there can be times where they may have handled something that didn't make them feel compelled to report it. They didn't have to call 911. They dealt with somebody who might have been inebriated or something, and they quickly got them off property and then didn't go and do the paperwork. So this really is just what people have submitted as occurring in their branches.
Yeah.
And you know, if they did call 911 or the off-duty officer or security guards that were on staff at the time were involved, we're more likely to have a report. But I can see a branch getting busy and dealing with something really quickly, and then maybe it not ending up here. So I don't want to say that El Pueblo dealt with nothing.
Right.
But
It also has like a security measures in place that are so, but they really are on top of it.
So that's
Taking ID or library card to use the restroom.
okay.
It's like that's
That's
standard of the libraries in order to deter.
Yeah, I can absolutely say that the numbers on here are probably not, they're probably lower than what is actually happening at all the branches.
Yeah,
I mean, it's staffing, being a former branch manager, you kind of pick and choose what you're gonna,
exactly.
what's gonna rise to the top as far as reporting an incident. It's mostly because you need some other support, or you want to make sure that other branches know what's going on. But there's the day-to-day that sometimes just does not get into into our system, so.
I guess like in that one in particular, if we still are considering that one for a closure, it might be good to have maybe,
More incidents.
well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm
More
saying
accurate.
we need to have more accurate, where if it would warrant, if this would warrant a call at another branch, then we need to report, so that way we can, otherwise we're saying, oh, no, there's no problems over there from the zeros. That's what it would appear if someone just looked at that, where we know that things are happening. I just want to make sure that if there's that's an issue there, that it's being reflected.
I was there the other day.
I just, I know, Jessica, that you really taken on a lot of the responsibility for human resources and, you know, things have really been moving along. And with Jessica leaving, I'm just hoping that somebody will be able to pick that up and so that we can continue.
So I've empowered the HR team to develop job aids and document the processes that they're following. And all of those job aids and processes are vetted by Central Human Resources. So they have a lot of support, even without me being here, to continue following these practices in terms of recruitment.
I just wanted to also say that Jessica has done a great job with that, but she also, including my assistant Laura, has been helping out the team, as well as each one of us have headed up at least one of the recruitments that's been happening as well.
Sharon, well, first of all, thank you so much for upgrading the HR process and speeding up the recruitment and the hiring. It is greatly appreciated. At one point, we were talking about headcount versus FTEs. You brought up pages. Are you still allowed to have pages in the new HR budget system, or because I heard somewhere that they were not going to be allowed? Or
we're allowed to have them, but what changed is that we used to be able to have a PCN, so position control number, that could have up to 10 pages in that one number. And that would count as the FTE for that page. Now, each individual person has to have their own PCN. So eventually our head count will be the same as the PCN count, which it wasn't in the past.
Okay, but you're still gonna have pages.
We still have pages, absolutely.
Well, I just, I have a question. I want to follow up on Rebecca's question. I just happened to go to El Pueblo recently, and they have 2 security guards on, so that might explain why there weren't, I mean, they're keeping the peace, I guess. That letter, so that's great.
No, I agree. It's great. I just want to make sure that we're reflect, if that's an issue, we need to have it somehow reflect.
Well, and if the, altering the security staff is being, if that's successful, that would be good to know too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true.
Yes.
It's about that counts and FTEs, and I can ask about that outside of this meeting.
Okay. In terms of the kind of like, if people are kind of just using their discretion for reporting incidents, because I echo your concern, right? Like, is it an accurate reporting, and like, what would we use this reporting to prove, right? Like, maybe we need additional stuff, right? And so, just is there what kind of direction is given to the branch managers about when to log an incident, and what holds them back from it? Is it like very onerous? Is it a lot of paperwork, or?
It's a process, and that it takes a long time. I mean, there's definitely different steps that have to be taken. So yeah, definitely, I think because of our staffing levels, it has impacted that, our ability to do that. It also just, I mean, I remember being at Quincy Douglas as the manager, and that we were fully staffed, but it's still, it's like we were hopping before COVID. There were times where 2-3 things would happen at once, and it's like, okay, I need to set aside time to deal with things in different ways.
Yeah.
And you sometimes have to pick and choose, okay, well, which is the one that's gonna like impact more system wide, or is this something that I can deal with because I have a relationship with that customer and I can, easily de-escalate the situation, and it doesn't really warrant reporting it.
And is there a way for other branches to be able to see like who?
That system that we use, it's called PIPS. All of our staff are able to access it, and some, incidents that are really higher, that have violence and that sort of thing, that are really higher incidents. We do make sure that we send it out to other, our John Stuckey, our security, like there's many people on those threads, and all of our branch managers and staff get to see that, so that if they do, which they always do, they end up going to another branch.
Yeah.
That's also how we manage our suspensions across branches and so on.
Yeah, Dr. Garcia and Jan Lesher get those, all of those reports as well, that and when it warrants 911 or any kind of emergency response
or suspension. Yeah.
Okay, so if you call 911, you have to fill out an incident report, basically.
Anytime there's a violation.
Yeah. That's the guidelines, yeah. That's the guidelines.
Does that discourage them from calling 911 because of all the paperwork?
No.
No.
But the off-duty officer assistant, is that wouldn't be like the security guards.
Those are PP.
Yeah.
Different. Some libraries may take the chief of the officers in addition to.
Any other questions about finance and facilities? All right. Thanks, Jessica.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Too well, I think it was to be,
Thank you.
we're gonna do the round.
Amber.
Yeah, so I think we've talked about everything I wanted to say. I wanted to be sure to say thank you to Jessica. She's done an amazing job for us and we've been really thrilled to have her. Super sorry to see her go. Make sure that you have Em on your radar as our public service deputy director. And we'll be getting out to you probably next week, who will be the replacement for Jessica. And just as a follow-up from this meeting today, I'll be sure to get out the information on FTE versus headcount, all of that. But I also wanted to share about our libraries helped out with elections very much. So they had early voting, emergency voting, they did ID.
Yeah, like the provisional ballots, the ID station.
ID stations, that's right. And then also some of our libraries had polling on election day. And our Columbus Library had 6,240 people that went through their gate counter that day. And they usually only have around 600. So that was pretty amazing. I did ask all the branches to send in their numbers and I'll share those in next month's report. But even for the branches that they had a separate entrance to their meeting room. So that didn't go through their gate counter, their gate counts for that day were usually higher. Not as significantly as showed us some of the others, but so I just wanted to share that that's another piece that while our staff aren't directly involved in the polling process necessarily, they are certainly involved in making sure that all of those things are happening. So I just wanted to give a shout out to our staff and to Marisa because she's been in charge of getting the polling between the recorder's office and the elections office that don't talk to each other about it. So
Sounds like community.
Yeah. I was doing it, even Frank was doing it.
I just want to say that there are lots of comments on Nextdoor. I go out like all the way out to Craycraft somehow in my Nextdoor feed, but there are really positive comments about people. People were saying, oh, well, if Oro Valley's too busy, go to Taft or the Woods because there are no lines there. So, but really good publicity and comments about the library.
And thankfully, there were, I don't think any major incidents that I heard about.
In the town.
And TPD was preemptive in that they had cameras at a lot of polling locations in the parking lots, just so that they could be monitoring from afar if things were to ramp up. And so I was really thankful for that because we have in the past occasionally had some things happening. Oro Valley had one person spit on someone's car, so but that was not as I was just concerned with the intensity of this election that it could be difficult for our staff, but I think things went pretty smoothly.
Any other questions for Amber?
I have a general question based on our guest or public person who came first. I don't know how much or the reassignment process that she talked about, but has that information ever been shared with the advisory board or even just kind of like highlights of what are the issues that people are bringing forward?
Absolutely. We actually redid just last year our request for reconsideration. The board members were involved in reviewing the policy and also taking it to their supervisory offices. So the board of supervisors were aware of it. And so I can resend the policy out to all of you since there are some that are new and it's changed a little from when other people maybe have been involved, but yeah.
But so is there, like, is there an end? Is there an end to people's requests for reconsideration? I mean, is there a panel? Is it just library staff? Is it community people or, and then whenever they decide that feedback is given to the advisory board as well as to the public person making the request, or how does that work? Or is that explained?
It is.
Okay, I'll just read it then.
And I'll be sure that you have the links so you can see online, because people can either do it paper form or they can have it online as well.
Yeah, I thought you did an especially good job on that policy update, really clarified things.
I did take down the title that she had because I would like to see it myself to see what, but I'm sure it was already reviewed by collection development in the appropriate age category.
But she said she had 3-year-olds.
I had a question about part of your report about the ALA conference, and there was something about read it, you know, but there was something about AI and it, you know, how AI is going to affect libraries and library work, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think, you know, part of the conference is that it still remains to be seen. But I've heard from a lot of different directors on how they are using it. One of the things, and I don't know if we've tried anything here, but especially for like the hiring process, if you want to write a question or questions, generate questions for an interview process. It's great, but I think the bigger takeaway is that, you know, it's AI is garbage in, garbage out. So if you ask it to write a report about a certain topic, but you don't give it a lot of detail, it can give you back a nice report, but it also might have references, but the references aren't always real. And so there, you know, a lot of talk about just being clear about how you do it. I think, you know, if you put in all of the correct information, all of the factual information that you know about something and ask it to generate a report, it's much clearer. So that's more of just the ChatGPT thing, but I think there's a lot that we don't even know yet in terms of what it could look like going forward. We don't use any AI yet for answering reference questions, but it certainly could in the future. But I think that's I guess the biggest takeaway for me is there's still a lot to be seen on how, and it's right now just focusing for folks to look at as a tool, and you know, it's not going to replace libraries.
Okay, that was my main question. I was like, are you guys going to use chat bots for customer service, or I don't know if you can use AI for collection curation?
I think it would be a good topic to offer the young adult programming on, like, cultural literacy and how to identify. I mean, they probably are better at identifying right now, and they're better at using it, but you know, that is going to be more and more the issue.
And as a parents would like guidance on how do they monitor, like, if their children are going to AI? Is it safe? Is it generating garbage? Because there's just so much uncertainty.
One of the things that we talked about in a cautionary way is that more and more going forward, it's going to be harder to determine if what you're seeing is even a real. Because you can take a person and use their voice and have them say pretty much anything. And so, you know, I think finding that literacy for people on how to determine that is going to be actually one of the individuals who was presenting said that they thought we would probably do
really important things face to face so that we were knowing that we were actually talking to a person.
That's scary.
Well, I have an anecdote, like when I left the Ninth Circuit a couple of years ago, we had an essay contest every year. You could submit video or an essay. And like 45% of the essays, they used an AI detection software, and like 45% had been written with AI. You know, so it's like that was years ago, and I'm sure it's even more prevalent now.
Like law students?
Well, the essay contest is for middle school and high school, but they're very good at it. But actually, it's a big problem also with legal writing.
Yeah. It's really nice. I have a friend who's in real estate law. You have to do a lot of due diligence because stuff that gets presented as past cases or true facts were just generated through AI and not relevant to anything that really happened. So it's scary. Any other questions for Amber?
How was Michael's?
Oh, yeah, how was that?
Because he still speaks to the mental health of our librarians, and I feel for his experience.
Yeah, he was wonderful. M was there as well. Do you have any insights from him that you want to share?
I think that it was particularly, I think it was peer-to-peer. He spoke to librarians about burnout and boundaries, which I think was really good. I can't say that enough about the helpers and they want to help. And, you know, it's difficult to know where your own line is if you stay. And so he did talk a lot of that. And I think that was really important. It was inspiring. A lot of people. He walked around all day, got to meet him.
And then you may have seen there, he was featured in a New York Times article just last week too.
Yeah.
Which is a program that we've been involved in. So some of the urban librarians united the trauma informed to their team for PCPL. One of the main managers, Lydia Furman, has been she's involved in the National Peer Support Network that's starting, and she's been involved in that work. I was involved in part one of it, and she's been involved in both parts of it. So, contributions there.
Those are having AI and robots. Let's have them go around and disperse cookies and treats to make people feel better. Really give better.
Well, where's that treat budget?
So, funny aside, when we were building the Esmond Station Library or getting ready to, Mr. Huckberg was still the county administrator at the time, and he questioned me about the cost of the library. It's like, I think we were talking $9 million, and he's like, why is it going to be this expensive? And so I said, because when you walk in the door, it will say, "Good afternoon, Mr. Huckberg. Would you like a cup of coffee?" and he said, "How much would it cost without the coffee?"
Taking out for their head, but
I moved to, we're gonna end the meeting. I was gonna move to close the meeting.
adjourn, great.
I second.
Perfect. All those in favor? Aye.
Who has the conservation?
No, wait. Okay, we're adjourned.
Just curious if anybody has like the concert, it's called Dusk.
Yes.
I want to look it up
And
online.
this is the first time that Dusk is gonna have a free viewing area.
Oh,
So there's going to be a platform over by like where ICE is at.
Yeah.
And so the community, as part of like Second Saturdays, on Saturday, will be able to view, I think, this stage, the Alameda, stage is that. Whatever stage is the stage over here. That's interesting. Yeah. I just need to go for free.
The Cure cover.
Oh my gosh.